I'll hit record, and off we go. Okay, so to be able to set up this drawing, you're going to open up Art Studio. I'm going to hit a new document, and when you're working with sizes in this document, typically anything between 2,000 and 3,000 pixels is fine. So if I chose, let's say 1,500, or I should say you should keep it less than 2,000. If it's like a little higher, that's fine. If I go 1,500 wide, maybe I'll go a vertical format for once. No, you know what? Let's do 1,200. The reason why you don't want it too small is that if it's too small, it's going to feel very pixelated. And if it's too large, it's going to actually limit you on layers. And then you're only going to be able to have like 3 layers, and then you're not going to be able to bring more images into it, and it's going to be sort of difficult. So I'm hoping all of you know how to do this already, but for me to import photos from my library into this document, if I hit import from photos, it's going to replace the size that I just put there, the document size, and I need to bring it in as a layer. So to do that, you hit import dot 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 as a layer from your photos. So I'm going to go in here and bring in, I didn't really look for this example, but I've got some stuff in here, I'm sure. Let's use, I'm going to use this vacation photo as number one. I'm just going to have this as my background. All right, so there's one image in here, and now to bring in the other image, what I need to do is also hit import as a layer from photos, and I'm going to bring in, oh, I don't know, whoops, I just brought in a drawing, I think, by accident. Nope, I did not want to do that. Import dot 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 from a layer from photos, and I'm going to bring in, oh, come on, you know what, for my drawing class, we were like drawing, I'm going to bring in, no, I don't know if that's going to look good or not. Kind of feel like not. All right, I'm gonna bring in, you know what, these eggs. With my drawing class, we were working on an egg exercise, and so I'm gonna bring these in anyway, and we're gonna position them in the image and see where they go. So, um, to be able to see both drawings at once, so you can sort of figure out where they are going to go and position things. My background's probably gonna stay exactly where it is. This foreground object, though, um, I can change the transparency here by this little slider that's on the top left. And so you can see, I can now sort of see where both elements are at the same time. And now for me to be able to remove the one or move it around, what I can do is I can go to Edit, Transform Layer. And when I go down here, I'm going to have other options. And if I hit Scale and Move, I could use these little bars at the bottom here, but they will take forever. Don't use those. What you're going to use is that you're just going to pinch your 2 fingers, and then you're going to be able to scale and move it around the room, around the space here pretty easily. So if I want to do that and have these 2 eggs sit like, I don't know, right there in the grass, that would be fine. I can do that. Um, so I essentially have this set up for me to start creating a digital image on top of this. If I just wanted the eggs out of the way for the moment and just wanted to work with the landscape, I could. Is that I can now work on top of it. Now, this blue line here around these bars, that indicates which layer I'm on. And I always need to know which layer I'm on. So if I hit the plus sign on the bottom left here, that's going to create a new layer. I can also change the orders of these layers by clicking and holding this little bar on the right. And so now I'm on a layer that's on top of everything else. The reason why this is so important, for this assignment, you're not going to be handing in photographs for your drawing. You're going to be handing in strictly just a digital drawing. So if I started to create a digital drawing on top of this, and was using that landscape as a reference, I need to be able to separate the drawing from the actual photos in the background. Again, you're using these photos that you've taken just as reference. So you're not using photos. I took this photo. You're not using photos um, from the internet. You're not using, you're using photos that you are the photographer. That was one of the parameters of this assignment. So this color here obviously is not very natural at all. It looks terrible. I can very easily change the colors of things. I can go to hue, saturation, and lightness and change it to be more of a green color if I wanted to be naturalistic. I don't need to be. I'm the artist, and I'm not trying to replicate reality here necessarily. So where this project goes is really going to be up to you. Um, I'm going to maybe just, if I sort of had that background there and I said, oh, maybe I want to add some details, but I can't see what I'm doing, I can put a plus sign here, and now I can go in here and maybe add just a smaller paintbrush with the color that is, let's say if I wanted to use a color from this image, what I can do is click this little dot thing on the bottom, and I would hit sample all layers, and now it's grabbing colors from the image itself. If I said, oh, I actually like those colors that are naturally in the image, when I go back up here, make sure I'm on the right layer, and I can go in here and maybe, the reason I can't see what's going on because it's the exact same color. So maybe I can go in here and sort of add detail. And I really like this photo. I just never know what to do with it when I take a good photo of like a landscape because I'm not really a landscape artist on my own. All right, so now if I had that and I wanted to separate and see the image, I'm now starting to see this image sort of come together. I could even use a toned surface in the background, which is what we did in the watercolor assignment. That would be up to you. If I wanted to use, I don't know, a nice yellow color. All of a sudden, this image is, starting to come together as far as, but one thing to keep in mind is every time I work on a different layer, that gives me more customability, how I can customize it. So if I say had some midtones here and they were in a color that was, oh, I don't know, maybe a little darker than that. And we're going to say a little wider of a brush. If I had some colors here in the background and I thought maybe that looks good on top of everything else, but I thought maybe that's a little too bold, or maybe I don't want it in front of everything else, I can change the order. So now I see that there's detail lines back there, and maybe I thought, well, maybe this is a little too dark, or maybe I don't like the color. I can lighten it up, and then now that's like a little less sort of obtrusive to the eyes. I can sort of blend that in a little bit more. You can also change other things. I mean, I really want you to experiment with this program. I can change the opacity of stuff. So if I had a big bold line like this, I can change the opacity so it's just lighter when I click it. So now I have to like hold it down a number of times here. In fact, you're not even seeing what I'm doing here because it's not high enough. There you go. If I change it a little bit more, now you're starting to see that color there a little bit more for me to be able to develop this. So you can see that I can spend a lot of time with this. There's other options. If I use the marker, that gives me a much finer line. I can change colors over here easily on the right, or if I click on the very top, that's going to allow me to sort of really customize colors to anything that I want. And of course, we talked about the three aspects of color. That's what that stands for here. Hue, saturation, and value over here on these little slider bars. I can also just move those individually as well. So you can really customize colors. If I want to erase things, this is the eraser tool on the left side here. That's going to allow me to go back in and erase things. You can always hit the back arrow key if I wanted to delete things that way if I did something by mistake. Ultimately, though, when you are done with whatever images you do combine with this, it should look like this where you're not seeing any of the photos at all. I would also just press save whenever you get a chance to. The reason for that is sometimes the program quits out if you're overloaded or if your iPad's not up to date. So I would consider doing that. And when you are done, you can hit File, Export to as a JPEG to your photos, and then that's what you're going to be handing in for your preliminary work for this assignment. For this, and then also the 2 photos that you're going to be uploading to the Dropbox. I'm going to spend some time with this and sort of combine maybe something else other than the pictures of the eggs or whatever. But really, how this drawing is developed, the way it goes is up to you. If you wanted to see more examples, you can see them on Schoology under student examples. We'll probably look at them next class period as well. But this class period, I'm mainly around here to just facilitate you. And if you're having trouble sort of combining these things, I'm here to help. The 2 key features I want you to know is bring things in as layers and making sure that you're starting at a large enough document size, like over 1,000 pixels. Other than that, we can fix everything else. If you don't do those 2 things, though, if you don't work on different layers, I cannot fix it. You will have to like go back and start over. So think about how it develops from here. I'll be handing out your watercolor and then we can discuss it further. So I'm just gonna hit the